Ministry Nutrition are giving Lanterne Rouge viewers a ridiculous offer. 50% off their tasting box, bars, gels, shakes. Try the whole range. Use code ROUGE50 at checkout to try their high-quality tasting box. UAE Tour Stage 7, the final stage, the real uphill GC test up Jebel Hafeet. The first 8Ks of this are pretty steep at about 8%. It's an irregular climb though. Looks can be deceiving because it's on a highway. A lot of the World Tour teams wanted to be in the breakaway today, but unfortunately there was a big crash on a traffic island. Tarling, the leader of the white jersey, classification went down. Froome went down. Behrens decline. Also out of the race. Tarling was able to continue, so real shame at the end of the week. The breakaway formed once again with the usual suspects of Solutions Tech and Bardiani. Novak controlling for UAE, and in the end it looked like it had settled down. UAE keeping it on a short leash and not too much happening. But then we see Bora, Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe move up on the right-hand side, and they, and I believe Jonas Ricard of Alpecin de Koenig, launch it in the crosswinds. We see Welsford behind Alpecin with Ricard. Alpecin, they got Ramses de Bruyne, who's been climbing really well, but not so well that he'd want to go to the finish with the Van Aertvelts of the world. Same with Fisher Black. He'd prefer probably this to be thinned out a bit. We see Pogacar coming back on the wheel of Herjolz. Only he and Vermeersch made it. So I dare say this was the closest UAE got to being caught out this week in the crosswinds. Nearly missing it was Josh Tarling, Ivan Romeo, Pablo Castrillo, and I think Bilbao. You can see them. They weren't going to make it. They're not looking good right now. They're in front of that sign, and this roundabout actually saves them because, the wind direction changes. It takes a little bit to get organized, and they just get back on as this lead group with Durbridge, Volscheid, and co. absolutely slamming it. They just get back on as they're getting back up to speed. Because if they hadn't shut it in the next 3-4 seconds, they're probably getting spat out the back. I don't know if Ciccone was already ahead or if it's Conrad. I'm guessing Ciccone's here with Bilbao and the Movistar boys. So that's huge for GC. They just get back in time. And that gap goes to a minute. Quick Smart. Pogacar didn't know if they were going to relay or not because there's a lot of teams that are committed to chasing behind. Lotto for Van Aertvelt. Pedersen for Felix Gall. They've not come here for nothing. And so they're rolling through. They're keeping it under a minute now. So if not every team commits in the front, it's not going to stay away. The problem is, these guys in the front and these rouleurs, they made it for a reason. Durbridge, Darnold, Rickett, Mullen, Tarling, Welsford, Volscheid, Johnny Milan, all the biggest units are in front. They're all cooperating. Tarling maybe too much. And so, you're just not going to close that gap down. And that's what happened. The gap went out to 3 minutes. You see even Bora trying to put a little pressure on Poggy there. Romeo, could he secure a top 3 in GC? Van Aertveldt, unfortunately, not the week he had last year where he won GC. You see the flags flying, though, or waving in the wind as they go into the arch as the climb Jebel Hafeet starts. It was wind affected with a stronger headwind today than in previous years, so they would climb slower today. Also because there's no climbing domestiques left. Jay Vine's in the group behind. Mikel Bjerre's in the group behind. And so Pogacar just has 2 domestiques, Florian Vermeersch and Rune Herjolz, who are not climbers. Herjolz is a little bit lighter, but they're not going to be able to take him deep into this climb. And Movistar got 2 boys. Trek got 2. So there's options. Tarling getting dropped early, perhaps suffering from that earlier crash. And Herjolz is reaching the end of his limit. Only's in front of Pogacar. Ciccone's glued to the wheel of Pogacar. And here you see the elbow flick from Herjolz. Time to go. He's giving it the big one, saying, I'm about done with my pull. And Only should know what's about to come next and not be surprised. It's an attack from Tadej Pogacar. Ciccone straight onto the wheel. Not the... Definitely not like the highest peak, because you see Ciccone was immediately on the wheel. It wasn't like those huge explosive attacks. It's a long attack. Out of the saddle for a long... You've got to remember, these guys on his wheel, Ciccone's looking behind, which is never a good sign. It's a good sign if you're doing it so easy that you want to check your surroundings, but I doubt he's doing it so easy, given that Pogacar's attacking. You see actually the gap open and Only then tries to close it. But Pog was out of the saddle 30 seconds more or less, and now can just comfortably get into time trial mode without having to worry about anyone attacking him, without having to worry about anyone on his wheel. Fisher Black overextended, probably should have stayed with Bilbao and Romeo, the 3 Spanish guys behind. Hombre, why would you follow Pogacar? And that's a fair point. Why would you follow Pogacar unless maybe you want to win GC? I mean, credit to trying, but yeah, here you see the triple Spanish trainer, Castrillo, Romeo, and Bilbao, just doing a TT up this mountain. They're doing their own race, and that is the smartest strategy for top 3 on GC, particularly from Bilbao. He never overextends, so consistent in World Tour 1 week GCs, and yeah, that's because he rides smart. But, sometimes he doesn't win the big races either because of that. And Ciccone, here he gives the elbow flick to Onley, and he's kind of figuring out that his young Scottish partner behind Pogacar, he's giving him a good hard look, saying, I don't think he looks very good. And Onley wasn't able to hide it, and so he's probably going to have to, if they don't want to get caught by the chasing group, duck away to Pogacar. What do you think about Pogacar on the new bike? It didn't look as fluid on the saddle, I would say, as on the bike last year. But if the bike was the difference between making it into the crosswind split or not, or being fresher, because you had to do 55 k's an hour or whatever on the flat before this, and maybe it was worth it. But yeah, interesting to see what he uses in Strada Bianca in a couple of weeks. Ciccone gets rid of Onley, and now you see the masterclass from Bilbao. Thanks very much, Movistar. Thanks for coming back. See you later, Onley. And he attacks just over the crest. This levels out for a little bit in the last couple of Ks. Goes past Onley, drops Romeo. And if he can catch up to Ciccone, remember, Romeo, because of the TT, he's about 10, 12 seconds behind them on GC. But they also got bonus seconds. And unfortunately for Romeo, Bilbao and Ciccone immediately start to cooperate. They know the GC gaps and what they need to do. And there's no stage win on offer either, so they're just riding for the podium on GC. But up ahead, big performance from Pogacar, puts it in cruise control after the crest, came to the UAE Tour after his team didn't win it the last couple of years and got the job done. Bilbao gets gapped a little bit by Ciccone. Ciccone, a bit more explosive than Bilbao, gets the jump at the crest and is able to take second on GC. Bilbao third on GC. Because they cooperated on the flatter section, they were able to take a fair bit of time on Ivan Romeo. So Pogacar winning 33 seconds ahead of Ciccone. The gap was much bigger than that before. Then Bilbao, Romeo, Onley, Castrillo, Fischblack, Lesurf. Great performance, Conrad de Bruyne. Here's what Pogacar had to say after the stage.
Have the last day today to do something, to train, and a lot of sprinters team don't have a GC rider. They have an opening weekend next week, so yeah, and was a crosswind, so it was good to make some chaos in the group. So yeah, for us GC riders, we had to be really careful and always be attentive. And yeah, it split at one already the first time crosswinds, and somehow it worked. At first I didn't believe we will be cooperative, but yeah, it went to the finish, so for me it was a really good day.
Pogacar winning GC, 1:14 ahead of Ciccone, 1:19 ahead of Bilbao. Romeo just misses out on the podium by 7 seconds, but a really good week from Movistar as well, especially in the time trial. Hope you enjoyed all the videos. Make sure you check out Ministry's tasting box using code Rouge50, and I'll see you with the Andalusia highlight next week. Ciao.